It doesn't matter if you call it title fraud, deed fraud, equity theft, or something else. It's a growing problem nationwide that affects rich and poor property owners alike. Take a look at these clips from news reports in different states.
City of Philadelphia is working to prevent house stealing. You heard that right. Criminals have found ways to actually steal your home.
By filling out some paperwork and getting a notary stamp, a house can easily be stolen. It's called deed fraud. The NBC 10 investigators have for years documented cases and the efforts to stop the crime. Desiree Davis's North Philly rental property was in between tenants.
I wanted to get it back up and running to rent it out.
But she never got the chance. Someone stole it first.
Someone had actually signed the deed, forged my name, and basically they were the new owners of the property.
And the person didn't just steal it, they sold it. The deed shows the property sold to Timeless Investment LLC for $6,500. Timeless's owner told Davis the company was duped by the same fraudster into buying the property. The document was notarized using a licensed notary's name.
The notary stamp was forged, her signature was also forged.
Deed fraud? It's pretty easy to do.
Dallas County prosecutors told us they've identified at least 90 properties taken through deed fraud over the past 2 years, and they believe there's many more.
The government relies on people being honest because most of us are honest. It's when you get these people who are trying to take advantage of that system and trying to take advantage of its vulnerabilities that we have things like this happen.
The Reverend Melissa Binning's congregation has been going through a tribulation that most shocked and angered them. 2 years ago, they learned ownership of their church property had been transferred to someone else.
We thought Dallas County had just lost their mind, that they had just messed up, that somehow it was some clerical error.
The church, the oldest in Lancaster and one of the oldest Christian congregations in the state, was not for sale. They find it was no clerical error. Records filed with the county clerk claimed the church's chairman deeded the property over to a non-church member for $10. Bidding told us no one knew the person listed on the deed who claimed to be the church's chairman.
The first thing, of course, we did was call the police because, basically this is fraud.
A plot twist that Oscar winner Halle Berry couldn't even see coming. A man is accused of fraudulently changing the deed on her multi-million-dollar home and then trying to change the locks on that home. Deed fraud can happen.
The question is, can it happen to you? Well, tonight we spoke with a local expert who weighed in. Prosecutors say 59-year-old Ronald Griffin didn't just trespass onto Halle Berry's Hollywood Hills home. He claimed he owned it and reportedly tried to change the locks while she was away. In a bizarre turn of events, the LAPD says when Griffin showed up on Berry's property in March for the second time in 2 months, he had a fake deed of ownership. Employees immediately called police. The LAPD says they contacted Berry, and she said she did not give anyone authorization to have title of her home changed.
It's a little known part of identity theft called deed fraud, when a property deed or title transfer is recorded illegally without the true owner's knowledge. It happened to a Los Angeles homeowner whose identity was stolen, and with the stroke of a pen, her house was stolen from her.
And getting it back is no simple feat. A local woman has been living through the nightmare for a year and a half with no end in sight. Casey Montoya has her story.
Karan Payton has lived in this home in Mid-City Los Angeles for more than 20 years. In November of 2019, she was shocked to receive a letter in the mail from the county recorder's office stating she had gifted her home to a man named Frank Galvan.
It was horrifying.
Someone purporting to be Ms. Payton had transferred the property to a man named Frank Galvan or Galvan for free, and then this gentleman proceeded to take a refinance on the property, take out a huge amount of money, and then disappear into the wind.
Payton's attorney, Josue Guerrero, says the fraudster likely fabricated a driver's license with her name on it to get past the notary, who did check ID. In fact, the notary testified under oath that Karan Payton was not the woman who came to her office. She said the woman was African American, but walked up the stairs to do the deal, something impossible for this Karan Payton to do, since she's disabled and uses a wheelchair.
But there's no way for that notary sitting there who had never met Miss Payton to know that this ID is false. She just recorded the fake information into her notary book, just like anybody would, filled out the deeds, and then the deeds are recorded with the county recorder's office. And from that moment on, as far as the government's concerned, Miss Payton's house is owned by this fraudster.
Gladstone woman accused of elder abuse after she took over the deed to a home of her elderly roommate for just $5.
Multnomah County prosecutors say Josephine Guthrie was homeless when she moved into that house on Southeast Portland.
Neighbors say 79-year-old Joan Morgan lived in her Southeast Side home alone after her mother's death, and a stroke left her in declining health.
Joan's a nice lady. I've known her for many years.
She let homeless people stay on her property in exchange for extra money.
Some of them definitely took advantage of her.
The county alleges that Josephine Guthrie was one of them. They say she moved in August 2017 and a month later wrongfully took control of the property, paying just $5 on a home and lot that would typically be worth around $400,000.
Ms. Morgan was very concerned, wasn't clear about what had even happened, wasn't aware of the transaction, wasn't familiar with the fact that she no longer owned her home.
The Multnomah County's Public Guardian Program and Adult Protective Services stepped in to help after members of Joan's church placed several calls. They filed a restraining order, then the abuse suit.
I ask you, and I'm telling you to be aware, be cognizant of what's going on, because it could happen to you.
Valuable advice from 86-year-old Shirley Gibson after falling victim to scammers who sold her home right from under her. As you first saw on Local 10, the crooks used this fake notarized deed to sell her Coconut Grove property that had been in her family for more than 100 years, and she had no idea, only finding out when she went to pay her taxes.
As a lawyer and a former criminal prosecutor, I have personally battled deed fraud in California since 2003. And criminals know this is an easy way for them to steal a lot of money. My friends in law enforcement tell me that organized crime syndicates have now discovered deed fraud, which means the number of victims is about to explode. Every property owner needs a title monitoring service. Your title insurance policy is important, and some policies may even cover the legal fees for victims of deed fraud. However, no title insurance policy notifies you when fraud occurs, and without early notice, this scam becomes much more difficult and expensive to unwind. Title Shield is the only early warning system that is secured by blockchain technology. Get Title Shield today and sleep easy tonight.